So it goes on in verse 12. He said to them, "No, but you have come to see the nakedness of the land." And they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And in fact, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no more." Now, I want you to turn over to chapter 43 and look at verse 7. In chapter 43, verse 7, this is when the brothers return back to Canaan, and they are retelling what happened to their father Jacob. And in chapter 43, verse 7, they said to Jacob, "The man asked us pointedly about ourselves and about our family, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' And we told him according to these words." Could we possibly have known that he would say, "Bring your brother down"? So Joseph pointedly asked about their father, is he still alive, and do you have any other brothers? Which I'm sure they probably thought, those are kind of some strange questions to ask us. Joseph wanted to know, is Dad still alive? Is Dad okay? Is my brother Benjamin still alive? And he's also asking these questions because he wants to know what his brothers will say about him, Joseph, and what happened to him. Will they even say that they have another brother, a 12th brother? Will they even acknowledge the existence of Joseph? So he's probing here to try to get that information out of them about his father, about Benjamin, and what they're going to say about him and what happened to him. So verse 13, again, look what it says. They say, we're 12 brothers. So they don't, they acknowledge that they've got this other brother. The sons of one man in the land of Canaan. In fact, the youngest is with our father today. Then they say of Joseph, "And one is no more." And I want you to note here what they say about Joseph, because what they say about Joseph, it's really vague, their answer about Joseph. When they say he's no more, they don't say we have another brother that is dead, or we have this other brother that's passed away. They say he is no more. He's not with us anymore. And again, the sense here is not like he's died. They're not saying that. The sense is, we got this other brother, we don't know what happened to him. We don't know. In truth, they don't know what happened to Joseph after they sold him into slavery. They don't know if he's alive or dead or in Egypt or somewhere else. They don't know what to say about Joseph, and so they just kind of give this vague answer, and he's no more. If you were having this conversation and they're answering in such a way that you would know there's a story there, they're not comfortable talking about it, the way they answer this. You have those conversations with people sometimes, and they maybe mention a family member, and you can tell there's a backstory with that family member, and they don't want to talk about it. That's kind of the answer here. So he's no more. And it's interesting that they don't say, because we got rid of him. He is no more because we sold him into slavery and we don't know what happened to him. Again, they just give this really vague answer about Joseph that leaves the impression they're uncomfortable talking about Joseph and what happened. But Joseph said to them, verse 14, "It is as I spoke to you, saying, you are spies. In this manner you shall be tested." Joseph's going to test them. "By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here." Joseph comes up with a test, and he wants to test them to see if they have changed at all in the last 20 plus years. And he's going to put them into prison. And he plans to send, he's going to put them all into prison, and he plans to send one brother back to get Benjamin, and have that one brother bring Benjamin back to Egypt. He says, verse 16, "Send one of you, and let him bring your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be tested, to see whether there is any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." So he put them all together in prison 3 days. But then Joseph changes his mind of how he's going to test them. So verse 18, then Joseph said to them the third day, do this and live, for I fear God. He says, I fear Elohim. That's your God. Right? He's dressed like an Egyptian. He looks like an Egyptian. He's talking like an Egyptian. Right? The Egyptians have different gods. Ra, An, all these other gods. But he says here, I fear Elohim. I fear your Hebrew God. I want you to notice, too, that Joseph is changing his behavior, making decisions. He's motivated by his fear of God. That's motivating how he's handling this. That is kind of the overarching motivation for him. And we read it and we wonder, well, why doesn't he just take vengeance on them? Why doesn't he just seek revenge? He's got the power. He's got the position. He can do. He fears God. He fears the Lord. And the fear of the Lord is a good reason to act in a way that is honorable and godly, right? And sometimes we have to crucify our flesh and not act in the flesh out of a fear of the Lord, because we want to obey Him and we want to honor Him. Our flesh may say, vengeance, revenge. But no, I want to honor Jesus Christ. I want to please Him, and I want to do what's right in His eyes. I fear the Lord. So he goes on in verse 19 to say, if you are honest men, as you say, which I know you're not, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house, but you go, all of you now, go and carry grain for the famine of your houses. He's got a concern for his family that's back in Canaan, right? You see his heart here. And bring your youngest brother to me, so your words will be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. Joseph, instead, he decides, out of fear of the Lord, he decides to keep one brother in prison, send the other brothers back to the land of Canaan with grain for their families and his father and Benjamin, and send all the brothers back to get Benjamin and bring Benjamin back to Egypt. And Joseph is testing his brothers to determine if they've changed at all. And he does this because you can't have true reconciliation with someone that has wronged you if there's not repentance. If they haven't repented of the sin, if they haven't repented of the behavior. You can forgive them. You can forgive them without them repenting. But you can't have like true reconciliation and restoration in the relationship if they haven't repented and changed their behavior. So he's just kind of testing them here. And the way he's going to test them is by putting them in a similar situation to the one in which they betrayed him. One of the brothers is now kept in prison. Remember, they put Joseph in a pit. So one of the brothers is kept in prison. The other brothers can save him by returning with Benjamin, or they can just save themselves and abandon the brother in prison and go back home to Canaan and never come back. So it's a test. Have they changed? What will they do to this brother that's in prison?